The Supernote Manta is the superlative choice for handwriting experience, and the Boox right now is the superlative choice for word processing. So I think that they're actually quite different for that reason. Oh, I have suspicions which one you will choose, but won't tip you either way. Interesting. So many options out there, they're very helpful in your choice. Ultimately, I chose the Manta, great. Already have a computer with 20-hour battery. The ink was to have a paper substitute. Yes, very interesting point there. Somebody mentioned this earlier. This is like the best paper you can buy. And I think that's a good point. So the reason I have given it to the Manta in the past is because it's just so much better for the core uses of e-ink. For writing, for handwriting, it just seemed to me this was what an e-ink tablet should be, and I just really love the way that they've actually organized this. I really just think that there's something so, it's not intuitive, but once you get used to it, it makes sense why they do it there. It's just right there. However, you can't type on it very well, and the Boox is all about, for me, it's all about that. Not necessarily the keyboard case, but it's all about that place that you can use for your word processing. You can go into Word or you can go into Google Docs and you can manage your text, you can manage your work in that kind of way. I do think that is really very, very good. The keyboard case, a little bit to be desired, certainly at the price, but you know, it is generally a pretty darn good experience of working with Microsoft Word, for example. As one example of how you might word process on it. But the note-taking is so much better on the Supernote. So the Supernote, not great for managing different apps. The Boox Tab XC, great for managing different apps. For typing and processing words, this isn't so great. You know, you can't do things like the split screen mode, which I just think is absolutely brilliant on such a large e-ink screen here. The fact that you can have words sitting next to a reference document, you can move words, copy and paste between the two like you would on a computer, but with the comfort of e-ink. I think that is a great point. And e-ink is comfortable, and I have been looking at putting screens on your face recently and working on these screens, and I don't find them anywhere near as comfortable as working on the e-ink, so I do quite a bit of that. But you know, it's not for reading, this is for reviewing big documents, it might be for reading big comics and things like that, but this is your place for just your notebook replacement. And lots of people have said to me recently, well, you don't choose, you just buy both because they are different. I was looking at the NASA things recently, did you see that? The video entitled something along the lines of the best color e-ink gets right now. And I was looking at these NASA images, I don't know if it'll go straight into that NASA book here in the Book Fusion. And I just thought, gosh, it just looks absolutely incredible. And I compared it to the big poster that I've got on the wall, and I just thought, yeah, this is just something absolutely stupendous. I think I might need to rotate that in here and just do a refresh. You know, this is the deep field image, and that is looking really, really good there. That's every single dot on this. If you're not familiar, that's Hubble's image. Every single dot on that is another galaxy. Okay, well, I don't want to get digressing into my day job there by teaching you any physics right now. That's not what we're here to do. Okay, come on, stay focused. But I mean, it just looks amazing. The color ink on there looks amazing. They're very different for that reason. And that's the way to delineate between the two. If you really want to know which one you should pick, ask yourself, are you looking for a notebook replacement? This is just light and thin like paper, slips in and out your bag like paper. Or are you looking for more like a Android tablet to do all those extra things and reading? You can read the big professional things, you can look at the amazing color content, all of those instead. Doesn't matter which one he chooses, no, absolutely. One is always looking for the perfect one, which of course doesn't exist. The e-ink seduction, yeah, Michael, I know what you mean there, my man, because when they released the Tab XC, part of their marketing was everything you've ever wanted, and then everyone was like, but I wanted Wacom EMR, didn't I? So yeah, it's not perfect. It was so close to being perfect, really, wasn't it? But then that size is not perfect as well, because carrying it around is obviously less portable. I presume Word is the Android version rather than the PC or the web-based. Yeah, it's the Android version, absolutely, that we were using there, which is annoying because just, you know, you've got this keyboard, but you just can't use all of the shortcuts that you're used to using on a computer, and I'm waiting for that e-ink PC experience to be a good time. Does the Tab XC perform better than the Ultra C Pro in terms of CPU, power and responsiveness? I think it was, I had that in some of my original content. I don't remember the exact scores. What I need to do is I need to get those in a file so I can compare those straight away. Drawing, Excalidraw, I'm not familiar with that app, but I imagine that won't respond well with the pen because nothing really does. But Jay says they're about the same because they're a similar SoC. Yep. What I noticed was when I was comparing the BSR performance of the Tab XC versus the Ultra C Pro, I noticed that the performance was actually better on the newer device in terms of the anti-ghosting algorithm, the BSR. So whether actually they could update this to just do the exact same thing would be pretty cool to see, wouldn't it? No, it's still updating in the same way. So actually the Tab XC was performing better in the ghosting, but yes, they're really good. They're both really high performing tablets. Having a bad time with the Ultra C Pro, it has remnants, or not just ghosting, the company says that's just what it is. You regret buying it. Yeah, I don't know whether you're getting them in the color area. The thing about color e-ink is it does show up white ghosting. What I want you to do is I want you to go into your normal mode in your e-ink center, and I want you to find more. I'll show it on the thing here. I want you to up the animation filter time to anything above 1,500, anything around that, okay? And the reason for that is, okay, you're still gonna get it in the balance mode, but now if you look in a HD mode, when you're maybe in a PDF or something like this, you'll actually see, sorry, it's only one page of this, so I don't know which book to show you this on, but you'll actually see the images will do better, and you won't get quite so much color ghosting when you're in that HD mode. Yeah, so did you get that? So if you're struggling with a Boox tablet, go into the e-ink center and change the HD mode to, in more, increase this animation filter time. It's set at 50 by default, and you get a lot of color ghosting when it does that, but set it up at anything above 1,500 and it will perform better. DJ, try that out before you chuck that out. Yeah, so that's what Jay says. Great help, Jay. So let's put it back in its rightful position. From that, Supernote Manta, what a worthy winner that is, really. Still the number one. Still the recommend. For most people who want to get into using a e-ink tablet for the sort of reasons that I highlight, I still think this is the one to go for. Anyone remotely surprised? I know that Mal said, you were right, you thought it. You thought that was going to be at the start, didn't you? Not surprised I chose that, yeah. So you hear my points, and it's not the one for you. You're a remarkable Paper Pro, and it's your thing. I'm looking for a laptop replacement I can use for writing all my class notes also. I'm still out of luck. I think that the Tab XC would be the one for that. I think that would do it just right for you. I don't think you're out of luck at all. Chayton, I've convinced you. Yeah, you got to find out what the hype is all about, haven't you, really? You will always find someone to take it off your hands for a good price on Adopt a Supernote as well, if you, that's a Reddit sub-post. Close one for me, but I think I get it. The beta software with text box support and a huge number of other enhancements makes the Manta very compelling. Yep, absolutely. What's the next best thing to the Manta that isn't a giant tablet? Well, either of these, the Go 10.3, that was my number one for a while. Go 10.3 is absolutely fabulous. That was this guy. Really thin and light, but with all the apps. Boox tablet, really, definite recommend still. The Go 10.3. I think it's fair that Supernote does is unique. Yeah, it is very unique, isn't it? Amazing note-taking app. All the plastic design. Just the plastic design means that it's like light warm to the touch, and it's very light as well. Ceramic nib, yeah. If the extra board upgrade gave Supernote full play support, I would have to give serious thought to switching off Boox, yeah. That would be a big change, yeah, interesting. Yes, the Tab XC pen is at least as good as the Remarkable Paper Pro. It's very, very similar, actually. It's even got the little shake thing in it, which I was really skeptical about, but it's not as bad as I thought it would be. And I have it on lightly. I don't just turn it off, which I presumed I'd just turn it right off, but I have it on just sort of setting 2, just quite light. I want Supernote Manta, but I have tons of data in OneNote, and I've heard it's not very good on the Manta. No, it isn't a good way it isn't a good one to use there. What I would do is, there must be a way to export all of your OneNote out as PDFs or Markdown or something. And if you do that, then I think you could sort of store them somewhere on the Manta. Or you have to decide what you need to migrate and decide, right, at the time, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna sort of go through and I'm gonna make a cull and make some decisions to keep some notes and get rid of some other notes as well. rather than think you need to take absolutely everything with you. Absolutely new list. Do these e-inks have infinite scroll or infinite canvas? No, that's one thing that the Manta doesn't have. The XC does have something similar to that. And the Remarkable has infinite scroll. So the Remarkable pages can be any length now, which I didn't get at first, but now I kind of do. But what this one does have is it has margins, and all the Boox tablets have this, that have the software 4.0 now. If I go into the margin function here, I can now just change the size of my page in any direction, like so. And then I can either apply it to all pages or just this page. And now you can see now I can zoom in and zoom out, although I must not have pinch to zoom on. That's the search function, not the magnifying glass. You can see how you get lost quite easily in here. Oh, it's because gestures off, pinch to zoom. There we go. So now you can zoom in and zoom out and move around and make yourself any sort of size of notes that you like. Oh, more specific infinite scroll mode, the 4.1 software does. Thanks for that. I will check that one out when it comes. Do I think the X2's Nomad's relatively old screen, Carter 1100, is enough to consider waiting for an X3 in case it's more than just a mobile upgrade? Oh, interesting one. No, I have no issue with that screen actually, because I think because it's flush and it is still 300 ppi, it's slightly lower contrast, but I don't have much of an issue. I think because it's the smaller tablets have been 300 ppi for longer than the larger ones, so I think that I wouldn't worry too much about that screen. I think that's not too bad. Get a Boox Color 7, get a Manta, drop my iPad Pro 12.9 inch. Yes! I think that's, you know, I look forward to, for you, I really hope that works out, and I feel like what you'll probably find, if you commit to it, and if you go, right, here's my advice, you'll probably find there's a point in your life when you buy those, you get the Manta, there'll be a time where you will either reach for paper, or you'll reach for your iPad, or you'll reach for your computer to do something you know full well you can do on your Manta. And you'll think, oh, I'll just grab a pen and paper and write that down, okay? Because I don't know, I find it a bit, at first, maybe you found it a bit difficult to find your way around on this. So you decide to reach for the pen and paper. And if you do that, if you take that choice after a couple of weeks, after the honeymoon period, if you take that choice and you go for the pen and paper, you probably won't go back to the Manta. It will sit and gather dust until you decide to sell it, right? But if you don't make that choice at that point, if you decide, no, I'm gonna go up that learning curve, I'm gonna get to the top of it, if you do that, you will never go back to notebooks. Just never. I've tried recently to go back to notebooks, it didn't happen at all. E-notes I prefer as limited features. Yeah, I mean, if I was going down the limited feature route, then I would, if we're not going to consider the Supernote as a limited feature route, then if I was going down the limited feature route, I would have the Remarkable. I'd have the Remarkable over the Scribe, for instance, which is the other limited feature one. That is a terminal, and it's good. You can see another video on that, Jason. And thank you all. Good evening to you all as well. I'll see you next time.